Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're in Nedarim, page 66, which discusses an unusual story where a person makes a vow to his wife saying that I'm not going to allow you to derive any benefit from me unless this great rabbi by the name of Rabbi Yehuda, if he comes and he eats your food and he is able to taste the dish of what you've made, and he comes, this great person, and he comes to eat the food, then I'll remove this vow. But otherwise, I'm making this terrible, terrible vow against you, that you cannot get any benefit from me. Which, of course, in itself is very difficult to understand why a person would say that. But now Rabbi Yehuda was faced with a dilemma. Because, on one hand, we know that we don't want a person to become accustomed to making vows and really just following up on what this person does to almost support him, that his bad behavior is acceptable. However, he did learn from a very important discussion in the Torah regarding a man and a woman, and where the woman has been verified to have been secluded with another man. We don't know the status of whether or not adultery was committed. So in the times of the temple, they would go to the Kohen in the temple, and they would drink a special type of a drink. And this woman, by doing so, it was a way of being tested to see whether or not she was in fact faithful. And if in fact she did not commit adultery, it's a blessing to her and to her family that she'll be able to go to her husband and they'll be able to have a peaceful life because of her faithful, and now the element of trust has been restored. However, in the event, of course, where adultery was committed, then a punishment would occur. Now, in this concoction, in this drink, it's explained that God's name was written on a paper, and it was placed inside this drink, and actually it disintegrated. Now, we know when it comes to writing God's name, one of the Torah prohibitions is to erase God's name. One is not allowed to do so. When a person has God's name, it has to actually be genizah. It has to be buried. It's not allowed to just be thrown in the garbage. That's a sign of disrespect. However, we learn from here an important message, that for the sake of potentially having shalom bayit, of having peace between a husband and a wife, God's name can be erased. And the honor of God, which represents the destruction of his name, is able to take place because there's a chance upon her drinking it as her being innocent that in fact peace and harmony in the family, in the home, will be restored. And therefore Rabbi Yehuda said, even though maybe it's not dignified for me to go to this person's house, I will do so because if God is able to show his ability of letting go of his honor by having his name erased for the potential of bringing peace, so me eating this food will certainly bring peace to this family, because now this oath will be removed, and then she'll be able to continue and eat with and be with her husband, and hopefully things will be able to be patched up between the two of them. So we see from here a tremendous message, and the message is the importance of shalom bayit, of peace in the house. Certainly the story with this man, he had his own flaws, but Rabbi Yehuda recognized whatever he is able to do to be able to bring peace and to help another person, that he was willing to do. He would do so much to make sure to restore any issues and conflict in a family, even if it was something which was a little bit degrading for him to do. And how important it is for ourselves, if we could help another person to be able to restore peace into their family, then we're doing really the act of what God himself does. And certainly reflecting on our own relationships, we have to try our best to strengthen our relationships, our personal relationships. We should always have shalom, peace in our home.